Hey everybody, good afternoon, good afternoon. How y'all doing? Yes, y'all. I'm back with another episode. My name is 𝐻astity Buckley. I'm the host of Midnight R&B Edition, home eyes the Midnight Love BET, where I give all my flowers to all my R&B artists, singers, and songwriters. But y'all know I love this segment of the part of my show. Y'all know this is my favorite part, Who's Next? And I'm honored to have this up-and-coming legend on my platform. This man is an R&B singer, songwriter, but not even that. This man has been on television. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff that I'm starting to learn about him now, but I'm so honored to have him on the platform, the one and only Mr. J right now. How are you doing today, my love?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. I need to wish you a happy belated birthday because your birthday just passed. And you know you got the same birthday as my favorite singer in the whole wide world.
Who?
B-Rocka, Brandy.
Come on. Yes, it's a whole bunch of us. It's me, Brandy, Kelly Rowland, D'Angelo, Khalid. It's a whole bunch of us.
I mean, February 11th is like a special, beautiful day for all you singers and also for the late great Whitney Houston, who also passed as well. But I mean, to be in that class with February 11 people, I mean, that's amazing because I know y'all can sing. This ain't no play stuff. Y'all are some singers. You heard me?
Absolutely.
And I also want to congratulate you because were you on Lee Rob's background vocals for Live Every Voice for the Super Bowl recently?
Yes. So a couple of my fellow choir friends and I, we went into the studio a couple weeks back to do the pre-records for her background. So yeah.
Right. What? Look, that's why I had to congratulate you because when I see all your recent accomplishments, I'm like, wait a minute, this man needs his flowers because that is so amazing to be with a legend like her. And not even that, you know, being on that with the Super Bowl, I was like, wait a minute. He did background vocals and it sounded like a whole choir, the heaven singing. I was like, JeRonelle's that dude.
No, it was really cool. It was really cool. And I was like, technically, I can say I've sung at the Super Bowl, but obviously, you know, my next goal is to actually physically be there singing on my own terms. So,
okay, get your baby face on. You heard me? Look.
There you go.
But thank you so much. I just wanted to give you all that flowers and all that love because, you know, I think it's super amazing for you to do what you're doing, but not to keep the love of R&B going. And I'm just honored to have you. So happy belated birthday, my good man. So before we do get started, you know, I always do a introduction on my guests, but now that, you know, this crazy, you know, era of the pandemic of 2020 has been so crazy. So I want to ask you, how have you been since the pandemic has happened? How has your life changed a lot since we've been in this 2020 decade?
Since the pandemic, I will say I've been much more health conscious because on multiple fronts. I actually ended up catching COVID at one point, and it was like a 30-day stint, and it was just like, oh, this is not all right. This is not okay.
Right.
So, you know, I've been I was already extra precautious, you know, during the first year or so of the shutdown. But after I caught it, I was still like, you know what, let me not get too lackadaisical. I get it. You know, cities are opening back up and everybody's kind of trying to go back to normal. But for me, I still keep my mask present with me, even during those times where I may feel like I'm around company that, you know, I feel like I can trust. I still at least keep my mask on hand just in case anything starts to feel weird. It's like, nah, you're not gonna get me again. And then as far as again physically, you know, also I ended up losing about 25 pounds. Yeah, because, you know, we were all locked in the house and doing a lot of eating, and I'd gotten to a point where I took a look in the mirror and I was like, okay, this is not okay anymore. This is not okay. And you know, it also started to reflect in photos and video shoots. And I was like, okay, we got to make some changes. So I reached out to one of my cousins and who's a dietitian. It was just like, okay, how do we, like, I've started the exercise thing, but what else do I need to do to make these changes? And so she kind of walked me through some steps, and within about a month, I want to say a month and a half maybe, I had already started to see results, and it just kept going and going and going from there. And so ever since, I've just been trying to stay consistent with working out, with, maybe not eating super healthy, but at least making better choices.
Right.
Just not always feeling the need to have dessert after a certain hour. No, you can chill. You can just drink some water and go to sleep. Right. I would say outside of physically, mentally, I have been in therapy for 2 years now.
That's really good.
And it's been such a great tool, to just be able to have that space to vent, to share, to rejoice, to reflect, to do all of these things, and to do it weekly.
Right.
So any given week, I could be talking about something that happened way back in middle school and how that ties into today, or, career stuff, or stuff about my love life, or whatever, just like I said, to have that space. It's been so helpful, so valuable. And as far as, of course, musically, I've done pretty much all that I can to stay visible, whether we were on lockdown or, able to go out. I've done my best to stay visible. I've put out, I put out a project during the thick of the pandemic, which was my last EP, Beloved. And then I kind of started working on the next project, which is coming out soon, during like the last portion of the lockdown. So, I've done my best on the musical front to keep moving, just to do, again, whatever I can to stay visible, regardless of, whatever situations are going on. But yeah, I would say that's how the last 2-3 years have been for me.
That is amazing. And I love that you talked about therapy, because I love people when because like I think for us in the Black community, we always talk about therapy as a crutch for us, and it's not. It's really, really therapeutic, and it's healing, and not even that. You learn a lot about yourself. And I feel like with a lot of these records that you've done, like New Kid, oh my God, that is your autobiography. I don't care what nobody says. You hit so many vocals on there, but not even just that. I can just feel the understanding of who you are as a person from that song, And I think just learning about yourself in a lot of these records, you come from an honest perspective and an honest space. And I always say, music has a sense of soul. And I feel like with a lot of the records that you put out for your EP, and not even that from your singles, you feel like you live in your truth, And I'm really super proud of people like yourself, because it makes me understand about me, like I'm not the only one that, that's going through life and life circumstances. Yeah. So I just love that talk about that. But not even I'm happy that, therapy and the music keeps you going, and not even that it heals you and it just brings you to a happy place. So honored and so happy that you got better. And I'm happy that your voice is still there, because we need that voice, honey. You got a singing voice. But not even that, I'm just happy that, you are really, really finding yourself, and not even that happy that, with this pandemic, has really, really made you go and just keep on healing, but not even that, keep on, going in a positive light. So I'm so proud of you there. So now we need to get to know who you are, because like you're new to my platform, and a lot of my fans, they know who you are, but some people that are also following me don't know. But I know you're from Omaha, Nebraska. Now, not familiar with Nebraska at all, but I had to realize myself, the late great icon Malcolm X. Nebraska, look, when you got that stamp approval, you're good in my book. Either way it goes, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to ask you, how was it like living in Nebraska? Because look, a lot of people don't know too much about Nebraska, and you being an African-American person, how was it like living there? Not even that, who were some of your R&B inspirations? I know you said John Legend, you look up to him a lot, and the stuff that he's done in the music industry, but who are some of your inspirations besides John Legend, and how was it like living in Nebraska?
Yeah. I always say Omaha is like a city where everybody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows you. So it's definitely like one of those cities where it continues to grow and it continues to develop. And it's one of those, it's a great city for, those who are looking for like a sense of community and looking to raise a family, maybe looking to kind of slow down, settle down a bit. But for me, I knew that I wanted the opposite. I wanted to speed up. I wanted to be in a more fast-paced environment.
Yeah.
Especially pursuing R&B. I was like, I need to be somewhere where there's much more of a heavier music scene, especially again towards R&B. So that's what caused me to first move to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta, then to LA. And throughout those years was when I started picking up on the different influences. John Legend was definitely one of the first, in addition to a lot of gospel. So a lot of John P. Key, a lot of Richard Smallwood, a lot of the Clark sisters, Daryl Coley, you know, the list goes on and on from there. And then by the time I got to college was when I started to get more and more into, you know, like R&B and, you know, not just the big names, but, you know, different artists that I was not aware of, or people, artists that people would put me on to.
Right.
And, you know, just doing my research, and also, of course, getting that classical training to really help me become a more well-rounded musician, well-rounded vocalist. And then by the time I got here to LA, is when I just started really taking all of these influences and saying, okay, how can I, you know, combine all of them into me or into one, and you know, how can I take all of these different influences, what can I take? That's the thing. What can I take from all these different artists and influences, and you know, find my own path.
Makes perfect sense, because I know you graduated from Clark Atlanta HBCU. I'm an HBCU grad myself, Wiley College. Shout out to the HBCUs in the building. But that makes perfect sense, because like you said, I love when people, they take their craft more seriously, especially when you go into classical training type of stuff, because not only like you're dealing with R&B, you're dealing with all types of genres. So you're not just hitting one type of genre, you're hitting multiple genres. And I think that's super amazing, because when you can go there, you can go in opera, you can go in, you know, country, jazz. It's all types of facets of music, but not even that, your voice can go and do anything with any genre. And that's what I love about that. And I think that's super amazing that you went into that realm, but not even that make yourself run around to even understand. And I think because you're from Nebraska, you got to understand that type of environment yourself. So it was kind of like an easy ball to park for you, but I know for sure, like, you know, your beautiful falsetto voice. I mean, you remind me of Baby Prince. You're like a Baby Prince, a baby Donny Hathaway. You give me Donny vibes more than anything. So Donny, Maxwell, and I started thinking too, you remind me a little bit of Kenny Lattimore. His story a little bit too, because he comes from that classical background. I mean, coming classical background, going to Howard University and being in that realm of just understanding about music and just hitting that crowd. You give me all those vibes, but not even that. Those men that really, really set the platform for their legacy, but not even yourself. You have a beautiful, amazing voice, but Donny, you're baby Donny.
I appreciate it.
So I know you talked about, now you said you graduated from Clark Atlanta and you went to LA. How was that transition like, going to LA, and what made you like get into the realm of going to LA to now try to pursue your career? Because I know you said for sure after you graduated, you was like, okay, now this stepping stone hits, like now you're going to LA to pursue a music career. So what made you want to go in that part?
Senior year of college, I knew that, you know, I knew that there would have to be life after school. And I knew for me, going back home to Omaha at that particular point was not really an option for me. So it was like, okay, I could either stay here in Atlanta, try to figure out and find my way around somehow, or, you know, an opportunity to audition for a previous season of The Voice had presented itself. And they were doing auditions in various cities, and LA was one of those cities. And I was also talking to my dad at the time, and I was like, well, you know, I want to reconnect with you and your side of the family. So it just kind of started to make sense as the weeks went by. Like, okay, LA seems to be, you know, the next move. And so 2 years after graduation, moved to LA. And it'll be 7 years in May.
Come on.
And I would say the first two and a half were extremely rough. You know, it wasn't all bad, but it was definitely a lot of up and down, like major ups and major lows, career wise, life wise, family wise. It just felt like, okay, like every 6 to 9 months, something would hit or would change or would shift. And I was trying to find a little bit of balance and a little sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
So it was a lot to have to deal with that. But around 2018 is where things kind of started to pick up a bit more. And yeah, from then on, like I've obviously still had ups and downs being an independent artist.
Right.
But from that point on, it was like, okay, I know how to handle it a bit more now. Yeah, and I there's a better sense of like, okay, I know how to deal with it. I can roll with the punches and not allowing things to shake me up as much. It's just like, okay, all right, you know, let's strap in and let's go to work.
Come on. Come on. But I love that. That's why when I was listening to your song New Kid in Town, it speaks volumes to me. And I understand too, because like I said, I was in the same position. I moved from one city to another, another state to a state. And it really was like, I wouldn't say not too much of a culture shock, but the thing about you have to learn how to, you know, hold your own. You know what I'm saying? I mean, learning adversity. And that's what I loved about your song. It made me understand you and love you even more. But not even that, I got to understand the adversity that you had to face during your time here in LA. And I think just learning yourself about who you are and your artistry is just going to show you at the end of the day you have found the strength. And I think with that strength, that's why you got, you know, being on the Four. So how was that transition like being on there, and how did you get that gig on season 2? But how did that kind of change your life in so many ways, you know, going through the beginning of your stages, but not even that, how did you feel when you got that call that you were going to be on the Four?
So being on season 2 was not exactly what I expected. But again, that was really where things started to kind of pick up.
Yeah.
So previously I had auditioned for every show that was out there: The Voice, American Idol, Sunday Best, America's Got Talent, all of them. And they all would kind of tell me no around the same point in the audition process. So I'd gotten tired of it. I had let it go. I had moved on. I did a friend's birthday party, and one of the casting producers for season 2 saw me, and he encouraged me despite my stubbornness. He encouraged me to, you know, give it another shot. And he walked me through the audition process, gave me some different ideas and things to try to really make my audition stand out. And from there, I went and did the audition. They loved what they heard, and they were like, okay, we're going to keep you in mind. So they started the first few weeks of taping, and I ended up getting the opportunity to be a seat filler for one of the early episodes. You know, just trying to pay some bills and just handle business.
Right.
But I was trying to lay low. I wasn't sure, like, if me being a seat filler for this show that I had just auditioned for would disqualify me. So I was trying to lay low.
Yeah.
But one of my friends from college was also performing that particular episode, so I wanted to support him. Somehow, next thing I know, the camera finds me. The producers see that footage. They remember my audition, and they're like, okay, you know, we want you to be on the show. And so they're asking me all these questions, and they basically were like, okay, we're going to help tell your story of you navigating from school and being a music student to, you know, being in the audience, and now here's your big moment on the Four. And that's pretty much the path that got me to that point, or at least the path that everybody saw. Now, a lot of people don't know that, again, my personal life at that time was going through a lot. I was in a transition house, which, for those who don't know, is a step above a homeless shelter. Because, you know, being in LA, you have different roommate situations, and the one that I was previously a part of fell apart. And so I didn't really have a whole lot of other alternatives. I knew I didn't want to sleep on another friend's couch. I wanted a sense of independence, and I wanted something of my own. And, you know, being in the transition house, although it was not ideal, that was part of the path that I figured I would have to take in order to get to that independence. And so, you know, it is what it is. I was in a transition house while filming this show, literally watching myself on TV from this house, you know, as these episodes are airing, and it was very surreal. But, you know, it was an experience that I would not change for I would not change for the world, because that's how so many people have since come to know me. And so, yeah, that's how that whole situation happened.
I can agree. I can agree 100%, because for people to hit me up from Detroit and tell me, oh my gosh, you have him on your show, I'm like, okay, this is hitting, you know, in the US of A, but not even just that. People know who you are from that show. That goes to show you that you speak volumes and you touch the heart, because what you did with Maxwell's song, This Woman Works, yeah, that was a cherry on top for me. I was like, yes, I mean, your falsettos are just mind-blowing. And I was like, wow, you just have this Donny Hathaway, you know, Prince, you know, esque about your voice, but not even that you touch the soul with a lot. And not even that, I feel that your gospel background, you know, singing from the church, I love that intertwined with all that, you know?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't understand that, you know, R&B comes from the gospel roots. I mean, that's the foundation. So coming from that, and not even that, then you're transitioning into an R&B rhythm and blues type of world. It goes to show you at the end of the day, is if you can touch the heart of people, it's going to touch everybody. And being on that show, I know it was like a surreal thing, because you're going through this adversity behind the scenes, but not even being in the spotlight. I know I brought you a sense of peace with singing. Yeah. So, you know, and I think that's amazing, because like I said, ooh, this one where you did that. I was like, I was mad you got eliminated, but I said he did that. I wish you would have stayed on there longer, because you are a talent, a true talent. But I feel like too, sometimes God gives you just a start, and then after that, you just keep going. You know what I'm saying? Just keep going, because once you start, it's not forever. It's not gonna be gone for you. At the end of the day, it's just the beginning for you to take that driving stick, keep on going, and push yourself forward to the next thing you got in your transition. So I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
After that, like now, since you know you got that exposure, stuff like that, did life for you kind of transition? Like I know you did background vocals for Tisha Campbell and Kevin Ross and Common. Like, how did you get those? Like, was it in the midst of the four, or like was it in the transition of you now?
So trying to think. Most of those actually, or at least the ones you mentioned, happened actually before the four. Singing with Tisha was one of the first gigs, one of the first consistent gigs I had when I moved here to LA. We were doing a residency every Friday at her then bar and lounge called the Zen Lounge. And so that was a space where I really was able to kind of perfect my craft, hone my chops, work on stage presence and all of that, and get paid, and to see all of these different famous faces pop up, you know, any given Friday was super cool. The Common one was actually while I was in college. So that was for the BET Hip Hop Awards in 2016. And crazy enough, again, I was trying to be a seat filler for that. That's like a thing. It's like a running gag, you know, being a seat filler. But yeah, I was trying to be a seat filler for that particular award show. Yeah. And I knew if I would, you know, continue to stand in line to sign up, I was going to be late to class. So of course, and of course it was my music class that I'd be late for. So I ended up walking into class like super pissed off, because I'm like, dang it, I missed my chance. You know, I wanted to be on TV and, you know, all of this, that, and third. I was super upset. And at the end of rehearsal, our choir director, he's like, you know, I need the following people to stay behind, and my name was on the list. He was like, I'd like to submit you guys' names to sing background for Common at the Hip Hop Awards. So I was like, oh, so that totally turned my attitude right around real quick. Because yeah, I was not happy
Right.
having to miss what I thought would be a cool opportunity, but instead I ended up getting an even better one because I just was like, you know what, just do what you're supposed to do, which is go to class, be a student, and it paid off. But yeah, I've been blessed to sing background for a number of different people. Like I've done, I sang with a small choir of people for Khalid at Coachella in 2019, I want to say. I think it was 2019. And then, of course, later on that same year, I became a member of Sunday Service with Kanye West.
And
so that was a crazy, wild 2.5-year ride. And I learned so much from that experience. One day I'll tell it all, but
right, look.
But it was just, yeah, that was a surreal experience to be able to be a part of that camp and to travel from city to city and to be able to travel to places like Jamaica and Paris, places that I've always wanted to go to, and not have to pay a dime.
Come on.
To travel to these places and get to sing and perform and be surrounded by so many other peers. That was really cool. So yeah, I've had some different moments. And even more recently, like, we mentioned the 𝐦𝐻𝐪𝐿 Ralph opportunity. That was really dope. So yeah, I've had some cool moments in the midst of me continuing to pursue my own solo artistry.
Come on, look, and that's why I love about your music, because my top 3 favorite songs from you, I'm gonna be honest, my number 1 from you is Better Than. Oh my God. That one right there, it hit. As soon as I heard, I said, hit rap. That was my favorite. I love Think of You. Another 2-step song that I really like. I feel like that's a 2-step. You can go 1, 2, 1, 2. And then my last one, you didn't tell me you had a baby making song, Rounds. I'm like, oh, this a get the draws type of situation. I like that song from you did. It was just amazing. Yeah. Those are like my top 3, but Better Than You, that one right there caught me by it. That's like a chokehold song. I said, oh yeah. That's the one right here. I mean, it was just beautiful.
I call it a self-love song.
It's
a self-love song. It's one of those songs that kind of snaps you out of whatever funk you're in and reminds you of who you are, especially, finding yourself coming out of a not so positive relationship. I won't necessarily say it always has to be a toxic one, but it could be one that just, it didn't end on the best terms. And so you're kind of starting to doubt yourself. And that's where, songs like that come into play. It's like, no, you need to remind yourself of who you are and that you're valuable, especially I think it's important to hear that coming from a guy's perspective. Exactly. So many times I feel like in R&B, we as male artists, we kind of tend to take the more toxic route, because I get it. It's cool. It's whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to give a different perspective. I wanted to give a different perspective and show that, there's still vulnerability. There's still honesty. And that we as men, we do have feelings. We do have these emotions. We do have these thought process. We may not always say them, but we have our self-love moments too.
And that's what I love. And that's why I was looking at your title of your EPs or your singles. I feel like those one words, they speak something about a personal experience. You know what I'm saying? With vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody has, I feel that when you in those stages of, of music, or not even just that, when you have titles like that speak to honest perspective, vulnerable, like people don't want to be vulnerable, but I think that's the most beautiful thing, to be vulnerable about your personal life. And I think that just, if you're in love with somebody, this is the most honest, candid thing you can do, is be vulnerable, obviously,
Absolutely.
But Better Than, honey, you did that. You got me in the chokehold. That's the one I've been playing on repeat about 5 times. I was like, this is the one. This is the one. And I love it. I think it's just beautiful. And not even that, for what you have done for your legacy, it just speaks volumes. And I know you're 24, you just don't care that one. Whew, beautiful record too. I didn't even know next year will be 10 years for that record. I was like, oh my God, you got one single that'll be 10 years old. Like, are you like, JeRonelle, how do you feel like you're gonna have a 10-year-old single, like 10 years?
Well, You Just Don't Care, which is my first song that I ever like really put out and stood,
Beautiful.
Stood behind. It's not quite 10 years yet, but it's getting close. It's getting close.
Next year.
So just to know that, I've really been like out here for that long. It's crazy. It's wild.
Yeah.
And when I think back to that particular song and see all of the growth that has happened, not only career-wise, but vocally, songwriting-wise, musically, I'm proud, and I just look forward to the continued growth. I look forward to continued growth.
Yeah. And that's why I have to give you so much love and respect, because I was like, this is just my modern Donnie. You're my modern Donnie Hathaway, like seriously, because it's not a lot of people I give, that, because I feel like the era that we're in right now, a lot of people with R&B, it has its ups and its flows, but I feel like people like you, Avery Wilson, Kevin Ross, like I can see you guys are the ones that really, really are bringing it back. And people just do their research, but not even that. I think for us, like my platform, Midnight R&B Edition, I feel like it's my job to make sure that your music, like real R&B music, is always making sure it's always professed to the people and to the masses. Because at the end of the day, this is the R&B that I think a lot of people miss or want to come back. But not even that, I feel that we need this type of R&B to make sure that we make sure that the legacy of the people from the Donnies, from the Ushers, from the Chris Browns, from everybody that came before you, make sure the legacy is still going, and you're keeping that legacy alive. So I respect that so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So since I've talked about, the state of R&B, since Diddy, since I know you had to sing for Diddy back on the floor, he's made this claim, this proclamation of the state of R&B is dead. Do you feel that the state of R&B is dead? And if so, what is your intake about R&B now and what you've done?
No, it's not dead. Never has been dead. Never will die.
Amen.
It's as simple as that. I was watching a clip of an artist by the name of Kenyon Dixon, and he was saying something that I thought was really important. He was saying that I think what a lot of people are missing is the feeling that R&B gives you. The feeling isn't there. The musicality is, or it's not as mainstream as it was. It's still there. There's pockets of it still there. It's just not as heavily at the forefront as it once was. And that's partially due to us as consumers and how quickly we consume things now. In addition to just, that's kind of how life is. There's always new trends, new sounds, new ways of doing things. But at its core, R&B is still very much alive. There's plenty of people out there who are still giving you all of the vocal things that you're looking for. All the musicality is still there. The feeling, the storytelling. There's plenty of artists out there who are still giving it. You just may not have heard of us. You may not know we exist, because again, the world we live in, everything is being so quickly consumed, and so it's harder to try to get through the noise. But we're out here, a lot of us we're out here. So you just have to look, and of course we're doing our part as independent artists to try to get ourselves out there. But we need the consumers to sometimes do a little extra digging just when you think you've seen it all. I promise you haven't seen it all yet. So just do a little bit more digging, and you'll find what you're looking for, or who, I guess I should say, that you're looking for. And then once you find those artists that really speak to you, share, let other people know that's word of mouth is still one of the most powerful mediums
Thank you.
Especially for us as artists, word of mouth, sharing, of course, through social media, buying the music and streaming the music, and just doing whatever you can to really champion those artists that you believe in. But back to your original question, no, R&B is never dead.
And I love that answer. That's one of the best answers that I've heard so far. But I think it's amazing people like you yourself, you know, making sure you're keeping that legacy alive. And that's why I said the men like yourself I named. I said these are the men that's really, really actually giving you R&B music for what I feel is R&B, you know, in my opinion. So I respect that so much, and thank you for that clarification, because I think a lot of people, the reason why I ask, you know, artists, especially indie artists, you know, because you are not the ones that's not pushed on mainstream, but think about it, you're the ones that's really doing everything by yourself to make sure that your music is always, you know, professed and not even that gone, like I said, to the masses. So I just have to, you know, put that question out there, but I'm super proud that you said it. Thank you, Mr. JeRonelle. So my next question, since currently you just released your new single, Stuck, that I like, you know what, I'm going to be honest with you. It reminds me of your Thank You record, the two-step. I have this because I'm from Louisiana, so songs like this get played back at home where I'm from, and it's like, this is something that feel good music, but not even that. You have this, you know, the song was talking about being stuck on somebody that you miss, but not even just that. I want to ask you, how was the process? And was Drake, what is his name, the producer, Pinkney? Is he the guy that produced this record?
Yeah, Drake Pinkney.
What? Yeah. I didn't even realize that. I realize now who he is. I'm like, wait a minute, wait. Like, you got, this is big. So I'm like, wait a minute, you got him. Like, how was that process and how was it? Because for me, this is one of those regular feel-good records that I do. Like, how was it doing that record, Stuck?
Yeah. Stuck came about in 2021 after like a little situationship thing, or a little getting to know you situation kind of fell apart. And, you know, when you are going through a breakup or any sort of disconnecting from someone that you've grown fond of,
that part, yes.
You know, you can kind of get left with the memories and just kind of trying to figure out, how do I get over this person? Especially when, in this particular case, word had kind of gotten back to me, or at least I had started to kind of put clues together, like, okay, are they moving on? Like, it seems like they're moving on kind of quick.
Right.
And I'm over here still trying to heal and still trying to process. So that's where the song came from. Yeah.
And you know that I've been in those situations. That's why I'm gonna be honest with you, listen to, you know, songs. And I never heard that you said that the November was inspirational to you. So I feel like, was this kind of tying into that too? Because this album, Never Say Never, that I got on my shirt, it definitely reminds me of this. That's why I'm like, oh my God, I've been in a situation where I've been stuck on this person and just trying to get out of this situation. But like you said, the memories and stuff of people, especially when you hold a connection with somebody, it's very hard to get over. But like you said, it takes a healing process to get out of it, you know, and you can't be stuck like Chuck. But, you know, hey, you got a record like this that really can, you know, for me, it's dope, but I feel like it's a two-step. I can just two-step to this record and just jam, you know.
True.
So, look, I respect you. I've come from experience myself. Some people are just people that I've had in my life I be stuck on, but when I know it's not right or things are not happening, sometimes you have to move on. And I like this record. I really do like it. It's reminded me of home back in Louisiana where I'm from. So got those roots. So now you are getting ready to release. Well, before I get to that, I want to ask you: is there any future collaborations that you're going to have for this up and coming EP that you're getting ready to do? Like any dream collaborations that you want to do?
There is one collaboration on this upcoming EP that I'm looking forward to. I don't want to give too much away yet.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to people getting to hear it. It's really nice. It's a really nice acoustic kind of vibe, and just the lyrics and the meaning and how it came to be really means a lot to me, especially where I am in my life now. So I'm looking forward to that one. As far as dream collabs, for me, whenever I talk about collaborations, I always have to say that I'm open really to almost anybody. It has to make sense musically.
Right.
Because it's just like, for me, it has to make sense musically. it has to be something where both of us are benefiting, is especially where this space I'm in as a still an up and coming new independent artist. Is it something that's going to bring both of our worlds together, you know,
Amen.
and expose us both to possibly new audiences?
Yeah.
So yeah, it just has to be something that makes sense. Off the top of my head, J. Cole, that would be an absolute dope one. Lucky Day would be dope. Jasmine Sullivan, definitely. A PJ Morton. Yeah, just, you know, folks who sing, like, folks who you already know the microphone is on, ain't no games, no gimmicks. It's just going to be a vocally good time. Those would be, you know, the type of collaborations I look to or look towards.
And I've seen you with Steve back in the way you've been singing with him. I'm like, all y'all just like, whatever y'all got going on in LA, keep that going. Because for me, I love stuff like that because I'm hearing real raw vocals, but I'm hearing people that really are touching the heart of music, especially R&B music. Because for me, when I hear your voice, it's so beautiful. And not even that, you did, I seen you did a remake, a cover of The Sweetest Sounds of Cinderella. I'm like, now, you know, Rainy, my favorite artist, for you to do that, you ate that. You did a church version of that. Let's be real about that. You went to church. This wasn't like the music.
I was going more actually for like an open mic type feel. I wanted it to feel, because of course at the time I was in Atlanta, so I wanted it to feel like, I wanted it to feel like an open mic, like a open mic night at Apache Cafe, which for anybody who you know is really familiar with the Atlanta music scene, Apache Cafe in its day was like a major spot to go to. So I wanted it to feel, you know, something like that with a little bit of the church influence, but also honoring still the melody and the overall feeling of the song, which is very beautiful, which is very, very intimate and focusing on the words.
Right, exactly. And that's what I love about your music. That's why I'm just so proud of you. That's why I said stuck. I said, okay, I kind of see he's bringing that back, but not even that, he's always keeping the love of R&B. So I know you're getting ready to do your new EP, Regrets and Reflect. So I wanted to ask you, what is, I think, and honestly, I feel like, I don't know, I guess I'm looking at the R&R of your title of your song. Like, what is the inspiration? Is it love, the inspiration behind it? Is it the heartbreak? Because when we talk about regrets and reflects of what I'm seeing of your EP that's coming up, you're talking about, I think, life of understanding of mistakes, but not even understanding how to reflect but let go. So is that like the inspiration behind it? Is it love? Is it heartbreak? What is the inspiration? Because a lot of your singles, you have a lot of inspiration of heartbreak songs. So is this what you're doing now with your new EP that's coming up in 2023?
So it's not just about it's not just about romantic relationships this time. Okay. The last two projects were more focused on a singular relationship. Whereas this one, it's looking at the relationship not only dating wise, but the relationship with self, the relationship with family, the relationship with friends. You know, I wanted to really kind of put a project that sums up a lot of my 2021 and a small portion of my 2022 as well, but just kind of encapsulating that last year and some change of life and where I was at and different things that I was thinking, experiencing, going through, and the stories that I want to tell with that particular time frame.
That makes perfect sense. And you know, being in a pandemic, like I asked you earlier, it is a lot of, I wouldn't say too much, like you said, regrets, but it's a lot of reflecting. And I think when you learn from the mistakes or just life in general, you know, personal life, and I've always said a lot of stuff can be your personal, professional, and your social can't intertwine. But sometimes when they intertwine, things happen and it makes you sit back and reflect on the things in life. And that's why I say for this, I'm like, okay, because you were saying about the one singular words, I was like, I noticed that you had more. And I'm like, okay, these are like one word type of singles. I'm like, is it mean something. So it makes perfect sense what you just said. But I think with this project, I'm super excited what you got, because Stuck is the first single. And I'm like, okay, I got this, but now you got to listen to the lyrics, and the video's dope. So I love that you got the text messages, because it reminds me of you, the late night, the text message thing that you did on one of the songs on, was it Beloved, I think, if I'm correct. And I was like, he's being modern with this now, because, you know, back in the day, we used to have the telephone, but now we're doing iPhones, text messages. I'm like, okay, I kind of see the connection. It's like a continuation of your EP that you're doing. Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Well, I'm honored and super proud to have you on the show, Mr. JeRonelle. But my last question, I want to ask you, what makes JeRonelle R&B?
It's equal parts the heart and the passion and the storytelling, but you know, it's also I think it's also the musicality. It's the technical ability. It's, you know, being able to recognize that, yes, God did give me, you know, a real gift and a real talent here. But again, it's also, like I said, it's the heart, the passion, the wanting to keep that feeling that we're looking for, the vulnerability, the storytelling, wanting to keep that alive as well. So I think that's what makes me R&B.
Yeah, I love that. And we can end it on that note. I was gonna let you sing, but I know you have to get yourself vocal rest, and I respect that so much. But I'm so honored and so happy to have you on the platform. But not even that, you have really, really proved yourself of being R&B worthy, R&B royalty. But not even that, you have made a beautiful contribution to R&B music. And like I said, better than that, that's my heart right there. That's my heart. JeRonelle. I'm just gonna let you know about that. That one, you hit home. But I feel, for me, what I feel that you are R&B is, I'm so proud that you really, really love the genre. And not that it comes from the heart, and not even that you come from the gospel heart of what R&B is. And I'm super honored and super happy to have you on the platform. I'm proud. I can't wait for the EP to drop. Do you have a month that's coming up for the EP? Do you know what month is coming
out? So we're dropping it in April. Haven't, you know, made the formal announcement yet. Okay. Still waiting on one or two more things, but we should be. Just know it's gonna be a wonderful spring and a wonderful summer.
There you go. Because Stuck is that springtime jam. So yes, I'm super proud of you. So do you want to have any social media handles where people can reach you at, but not even that, make sure that people follow you and make sure that the music come out? Where can they reach you at?
Yeah, so they can find me at I'm JeRonelle, JeRonelle. They can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, all those platforms. And like I said, you know, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, all those wonderful places.
That is so dope. Well, thank you so much. I'm honored to have you on the platform. Congratulations on everything, on your legacy, but not even that, the things that you have done are doing in R&B, but not that, keep everything going for yourself and the love of R&B. Congratulations on everything, my love. So now, guys, we are done with my beautiful interview with the R&B, up-and-coming legend R&B singer, songwriter. I mean, this man has done everything under the sun. The one, the only, Mr. JeRonelle. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, guys. Y'all have a good one.